Hi, my name is Eric, and I've been looking at the Supra versus the C8 Corvette. I made a video a couple days ago about how I can't decide which one to buy, and it seems like a lot of people out there like to call me names. Apparently, I'm an idiot if I'm not going to buy the C8. You're an idiot if you can't decide. Are you sensing a theme here? I'm kind of getting a vibe. There was a couple other pretty spicy ones too, and remember, if you're commenting and if you're using swear words, the Google algorithm, the AI, is just gonna catch those words and it's not gonna post them, so go ahead and swear all you want, they're just not gonna appear in the comments. If you want to talk about cars all day long, I have something called a Discord server. There's a link down to it below. It's an application you can run on your phone or you can run it on your desktop. It's really cool. It's absolutely free. I've got a community of about 600 people now chatting about cars all day long. Definitely go in and join it. I drop in from time to time there. So I have been calling a bunch of dealers about the Supra, and I'm sure you've seen some other videos too, and some of them are pretty hilarious what the dealers are charging. So here's my best story. I called up Toyota of Glendora. I spoke with somebody there, and this guy told me it was going to be $50,000 over MSRP. Now, that's not even for a launch edition. So this particular car was configured at about $57,000. It would be out the door for a premium, and you're looking at $107,000 for a Supra. I mean, if I wanted to spend $107,000, that pretty much puts me right in the ballpark for a new Porsche GT4, which by the way is amazing. It starts at $102,000. If you can find it without markup, you might be able to get it for something like that. Now, if you buy that car and you drive it for, let's say, 3 to 5 years, it's probably going to barely depreciate. And a quick announcement off topic, I am selling the LS2 and the T5 transmission with a wiring harness and the gas pedal and even the differential in Los Angeles. I need to sell it pretty quickly. It's from my GTO. Hit me up on Instagram. It's right over here if you're interested in picking that up. I understand what people are saying in the comments. The C8 is absolutely a game changer. Chevy has really done something, I think, pretty unique by bringing the price down to an entry-level point of $60,000. Now, we know it's going to be impossible to get one at $60,000. There are probably going to be very few orders for base ones at that price. I think realistically, most of the cars that are going to be ordered are going to be configured at about, starting at $65,000 to about $70,000. We're looking out the door MSRP probably somewhere around 70, and you add some taxes and all the fees and your licenses and all that kind of stuff, you're looking at cars going to be configured around $75,000, I think, on average. So it is a lot more expensive than the Supra, if you can get the Supra. Right now, you can't get a base Supra either. Every single Supra that I've seen is either the launch edition or the premium package, which is about $5,000 more than the base model. The base model Supra, which you should be able to get next year, is $50,000. So we are talking about a $10,000 difference between these two cars. I've also seen some Corvette dealers that are marking these up too. But yes, it is an absolute game changer. And then there's the actual cost of buying the car. And there's a ton of people that are saying, I'm an idiot for not buying the C8. Well, hello, excuse me. I'm the one buying it, not you necessarily. It is a lot of money. So let's just pull up a quick loan app calculator here and see what the difference is in the monthly payment and total outlay between these two cars. So I went and looked at auto loans online, and I found there's some pretty good deals out there for 60 months. And I'm just going to use this one figure for comparison. I found a loan at 3.49%. It's through a credit union. So if we put in 349, and that is, again, for a 60-month loan, and let's say hypothetically that the Supra, the premium, which is about $57,000 out the door before licensing and taxes and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to put that up on screen right now with all the options that I want. There's really only one option, which is driver assist, and all of the premiums that are available right now, they're all with the same configuration. So let's say I put just a little bit of money down in the car and I get a loan for $60,000. I'm going to pay all the taxes and all the registration fees and all that kind of stuff myself. So that comes out to about $1,100 per month. And I'm going to pay a total of about $65,000 on the loan with an interest of about $5,500. Now, the C8 Corvette, if I put down the same amount of money on it, the car is going to start at a little bit more money. It's not going to be possible really to find one at $60,000. I wouldn't want the base one anyhow. I would definitely want the Z51 package and maybe one other thing, maybe the magnetic ride, but let's say Z51, which I'm going to estimate is going to be $6,000 and maybe something else. So let's say I'm going to get the car base for not base, but let's say I'm going to get the car at the door for $68,000 before licensing and taxes and all that kind of stuff. So let's do $68,000. So we're looking at $1,236 for this car. So it is about $200 a month more roughly. And my total expense, I'm going to pay more in interest. I'm going to pay about $6,200 in interest. I'm going to pay about $74,000 for the car over time. It might be more expensive. So if you look at the Shelby GT500, it starts at about $70,000. And that's kind of a lot of money for a Mustang. And of course, dealers are asking for a markup on that too. It does have over 700 horsepower. It's definitely going to be the most amazing Mustang ever built. But man, that's kind of a lot of money for a Mustang. And you know, one of the reasons why Chevy decided to go mid-engine is because it is difficult to put down a high amount of power when you're talking about a front-engine rear-wheel drive car. That's just sort of the way it goes. The Corvette has always been about bang for the buck, and there's nothing that has actually changed in that respect with the C8. It has incredible value for the dollar, but you know, so do cars like the more pedestrian Mustang GT and the Camaro SS. In fact, I would argue that the Camaro SS 1LE is probably the best bang for your buck that you can get in America right now in terms of performance, you know, horsepower, handling, and price. I mean, that sort of combination of a car that is able to go on the track and perform very, very well at, you know, $45,000 roughly for a well-configured one, or maybe a basically configured one. That's pretty good. But that argument doesn't really hold water in my books, because if everyone was valuing performance for the dollar, everyone would be rushing out and buying the brand new Camaro SS 1LE. But here's the problem. Camaro sales are way off. I looked it up and there's actually a really large drop in sales from 2017 of the Camaro to 2018 of the Camaro, and in 2017 they sold about 68,000 units in the US. However, in 2018 they sold about 51,000 units. That's a huge drop. So far this year, they have sold about 25,000. And even the very future of the Camaro is in doubt. I made a video on it. I'll put it right up here if you're interested in that. So it's not exactly sure if the Camaro is even going to continue. So bang for the buck, that's not the motivating factor. I think what one of the big motivating factors behind the C8 is, of course, people love the 0 to 60 numbers that Chevy has been promoting. People really, really like the styling, and of course they like the fact that it is a mid-engine car and it has a DCT transmission. That is incredible value. They're definitely bringing it to themselves, they're bringing it to Chevy, they're bringing it to Ford, and of course there's Toyota with the Supra, and they're definitely bringing the fight there too. Now, I don't know how many people have actually canceled their Supra orders, because it is very, very difficult to get a Supra right now. I'm expecting things are going to return to the MSRP level, and the dealer insanity is going to stop in a couple of months. Remember, right now, I'm filming this right at the beginning of August. It is still very, very difficult to get a Supra because Toyota decided to release the launch edition, of which there's only 1,500 in the first wave, and then they called a little halt to the whole thing. So it's been a few weeks since the launch edition has been out at this point, and the premiums are coming online right now, but there's been a little bit of a delay. And I mean, that's just sort of the way it is right now with the Supra. But I want to take you through my buying decision, because maybe you're trying to decide too. And I just thought I would try to share my thought process on this whole buying thing, because look, this is an expensive car. Both of them are expensive cars. The Corvette is significantly more expensive in real world numbers. There's no question about that at all. It's going to be at least $10,000 to $15,000 more real world configuration. Now, I do intend to take whatever car I buy out to the track. I haven't been going to the track enough since the rather inglorious end of the BMW E30 race car. Unfortunately, that project is dead, as is the LS swap. I'll do something on the LS swap in Instagram. So I've got Chuckwalla, which is the local track. There's Willow Springs, and of course, Button Willow. So I do enjoy taking my car to the track, and one of the considerations is cost. How much I'm going to spend per day on maintenance and consumable parts. So the consumables are going to be things like tires, it's going to be oil, and of course a lot of gasoline, brake pads, and fluids like, primarily brake fluid. So back in 2012, when I was taking my BMW 1M to the track quite a bit, I was spending roughly $600 to $800 per day going to the track in consumables, and that's a lot of money. And you might ask yourself, like, why is that so much money? Well, one of the reasons is the car is heavy, and I'm going to call 3,300 pounds, which is what the 1M weighs, I'm going to call that heavy. The Supra is actually heavier than that. And I'm comparing it to something like an FRS, BRZ, or a Miata, which is in the sub 3,000 pound category. When you start adding weight and power, you put a lot of stress on the brakes and the tires. You're moving a lot more weight around, and you're going through a lot more expensive tires. Big tires like on the Corvette, which are 305s in the rear, 20-inch tires, those are going to be pretty expensive. Back in 2012, I was spending roughly $800 to $900 per set of tires. I was running RS4s at the time, very good track tires, RS3s at the time. And, gas was anywhere from $4 to $10, depending on if I put 100 in at the track. I'm expecting that the Supra is going to be perhaps equally as expensive to that. The Corvette is going to be a step above that. It's going to be more expensive to go to the track because I'm expecting that the tires are going to be more expensive. You're going to go through more expensive brake pads potentially, and you're probably going to use more fuel. Just for the record, I was getting about 5 miles a gallon at the track. So you do a session, and you've gone through a half tank of gas. Also, the dynamics of the two different cars. The Supra has been set up to drift, or will be relatively easy to set it up to drift. We've seen a lot of videos about this. Toyota has gone on record talking about how the car is drift capable, and it certainly is. So that is, with this configuration, it's going to be pretty easy to slide the car around. The C8 is going to be more difficult to do that in. There's no question when you got a mid-engine configuration, yeah, you get breakaway at the limit, and it can be a little harder to control. So I'm expecting that the Supra is going to be a little bit better set up for that. Also, because of the inherent weight difference, I think that a car like the Supra is going to be better on a track like Streets of Willow, probably. On a longer track and more of a road course like Big Willow, the Corvette is going to dominate there. There's another big consideration, and that is modding the car. There's already an aftermarket that is in place and is rapidly developing around the Supra. Right now, there is an exhaust system available. My friend Mike King at Counter Space Garage has already got some brake pads available, or will be in the next couple of days. I'm going to be working with him on developing some stuff. There's going to be suspension being developed for that. There's going to be a whole lot more body kits for the Supra, I think, than the Corvette. That's just sort of the nature of this car. And Toyota has basically told us, go ahead and mod the car. They've made spaces for extra coolers. There's going to be a lot of capability for the car, and there is a manual transmission swap that is in the works right now in the Midwest too. There's also a kit for a 2JZ swap too. I think the mod capability of the car is going to be a lot better, and the aftermarket is already in place. Now, I'm not saying that there won't be a mod aftermarket for the C8. Certainly there will. I'm sure there's going to be superchargers for it. They're going to fit right in the V of the new engine. That's going to be pretty exciting. You're going to be able to have a higher supercharger than you could on the C7 and the previous generations, and so that's pretty cool. There's going to be some handling stuff too, but it's going to be a little bit more expensive to mod it, is my guess, and it's also going to be more difficult to crack into the computer because there is encryption on the computer. There's already tunes available for the B58 engine on the Supra. Now, here's another big consideration, and probably maybe the biggest consideration for me and my channel. As you know, I run this as a business. I'm not making a full-time income from this yet. That's my goal. There is going to be a lot of competition on the C8. I think it's going to be sort of a YouTuber car, and there's going to be a ton of channels that are going to be out there with their C8s doing all kinds of stuff to them. That's great. That's awesome. And believe me, I think the C8 is an awesome car. However, I think there's going to be a little bit more competition on that side. And I'm going to be able to get the Supra sooner. I'm going to be able to start modding it sooner. I think there's just going to be a little bit more of an opportunity for me there, and I'm going to be working with Counter Space Garage to help develop some parts and so forth. So there's a little bit more of a business opportunity, at least for me in this channel and this business, with the Supra. I've got a couple videos on screen up here right now. Choose one, and I definitely have to thank my Patreons. You guys are super awesome. You help me run this channel, and there's a lot of benefits to being a Patreon, like early access to my videos. You get the scripts, all that kind of stuff, and we have monthly chats. I'm gonna shout out my big Patreons, which are Real Six, Furious Grummel, Squirrel Pope. There's a bunch of other people too. Thank you so much. I will see you guys in the next video.